start recording. So welcome, another Sunday market blitz. So we've been hopping on every week, running through all our analysis. We'll give you guys some ideas for the week ahead. And Nick normally gets started, runs through some good old Forex, DXY, the ringer.
Yeah, so let's kick it off. We're gonna do exactly that. And like Angelo said, I'm gonna start off with DXY. And just keep in mind, this isn't actually a tradable pair. I use this more so as an indicator for the movement for the rest of the market, because I'm trading most of the major pairs, and a lot of them, react to the dollar moving, because the dollar makes up for 80% of all trade. Any major movement coming out of the dollar, you're probably going to see that affected on a lot of the major pairs. So it's good to kind of understand what the movement on the dollar has been, at least on the daily, 4-hour, intra-week stuff. Just kind of analyze it like a normal chart and, use that information accordingly. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to do this on every single pair. I'm going to jump to the daily time frame, grab the daily trend. That's really it. We can identify some key zones here on the daily as well. I'll point some out, but then we're going to jump to the 4-hour and then cover 2 trade scenarios, both bullish and bearish. So again, I'm going to do it on every pair, but first we're starting off with DXY, of course. So very clearly we can see that price action is moving up, right? Moving up as we, scan across this chart here. Price action is forming higher highs, higher lows, key characteristics of a bullish trend. And we're also breaking key resistance levels. First one at 97.25, and we're also approaching the 100 level. So that's huge. So clearly this thing has a lot of bullish volume. We're moving higher. We can see already from the daily time frame that we have a higher low. So we have structure above this broken resistance. So let's get a closer look on the 4-hour and go over those 2 scenarios that we could potentially spot for DXY this week. Okay, so is it going to maintain this nice 4-hour trend here? We're moving higher, coming back down, retesting beautifully. This is great structure. It's not too steep, but it is pretty aggressive. There's a lot of volume here. So the most likely thing, I think, because we formed this higher low, there's obvious conviction, and volume is actually increasing, is that price action will reach 100 before we see any sort of reaction. Maybe it'll come back down, touch the trend line again, but we're primarily bullish. This thing is kind of mid-move right now. Okay, so bullish dollar for the week ahead that we can see so far. If this does drop, I'm not going to consider the dollar bearish until we break at least 97.85, where the higher low was, right? Meaning I want to see a lower high below that. And that would be enough to consider it a full transition of the 4-hour. And now we went from bullish to now bearish. Okay, so until that happens, we're technically bullish. Even if this happens, like even if this, bounces a bunch of times, we're still above 97.85. So it's still technically bullish on the 4-hour. Okay, there are trends on the lower time frame, but we're focusing on the 4-hour because, based on our strategy.
What's going on, guys? As always, we are.
That's all right. So, oops, did not mean to do that. All right. So, yeah, these are the 2 scenarios. Definitely bullish as long as we're above 97.85, even if there is consolidation. And like I was saying, there are minor time frame trends, but we're focused on the 4-hour because this, kind of highlights the movement for the week the best. Okay, you're probably going to see, this play out or, this play out. There's enough time here on this time frame with these trade paths. Okay, so that's DXY, bullish for the week ahead. Let's see what else we got. Let's jump over to AU, first tradable pair. We're going to follow the same method, daily time frame. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so let's start over on the left. What can we see? We're ranging a little bit, some fake outs. Okay, it pulled back. Really didn't, it kind of like just tested this lower high. We didn't really form structure above that. Kind of just came back to 0.75 and then dumped. And from there, it was clearly bearish, right? It was blowing through this range. We broke the support of the range 0.72. Then we were kind of bouncing in this area. We spotted this lower high. Okay, so price action dropped, pull back. This is a lower high, and then it continued lower. We bounced off the monthly again, and then started going bullish from there. Now, this was a range. We kept that in mind. We knew that potential reactions at 0.73 were there, but we actually didn't get any. It blew right through 0.73, went to 0.74, came back and gave us a bit of a higher low, rejecting off this level as support. So the daily is looking more bullish right now, but we need to drop to the 4-hour and look for reactions, see what price action on that time frame is telling us. But for right now, we're looking pretty bullish. This thing has been moving pretty well. Okay, so AU, let's reset the chart here, move it over. All right, so we have a nice bullish channel. Key zone's definitely 0.73. We're at it right now. So in order to continue bullish on AU, we need to see this kind of find some support now, get some bullish reactions off this level. We'll see how price action forms. There could be some decent setups where we could enter long and target 0.74. If we break below this level, right, remember this is where the higher low is. If we break below that and get structure in the form of a lower high, retest of this level, 0.73, that would be reason enough to enter. We could scope out some good opportunities in there. Again, it's all about price action. You got to make sure that it's, showing something according to your rules, like what you would be considering a perfect trade, and that's this right here. Nice lower high, retest of 0.73, gives you good risk reward, well over 2 to 1. So that's what that would look like. But yeah, that's where we are on AU. Pretty bullish. I'd like to see this kind of closer to the trend line, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it reacts at 0.73. All right, so that's AU. Let's jump over to AJ. Daily time frame. What's the overall trend? And this one is bullish as well. So we ran into some traffic here at the weekly, 83.25, held as resistance for a while, right? We were getting higher lows, kind of creeping up to this level, and then we finally broke. And then we were bullish since that point. So pushed up, gave us a little higher low, some consolidation in there, and now we pushed up again, breaking through 85. So we're due for structure. We're pretty much going to be looking for structure above 85, right? So let's drop to the 4 hour, get a closer look. We're definitely bullish though. Okay, let's zoom in here. All right, so here we are. Remember, this was the key zone, our weekly, 83.25. This is where we saw that consolidation. Price action kept forming higher lows up to it until it eventually broke right here. Broke, retested. Not a great example of a break and retest. I would have liked to see a little more volume and then it come back a little more, fluidly, where it goes up, comes down. There's some chop in here. We didn't really clear these prior highs that well either. These are both fake outs. So that would have been nice to see it push up, come back, and then continue. However, there are some entries in here. There's good confirmations on this morning star. And then it followed through pretty well. But now we hit 85, gave us a bit of a flag, and then we pushed higher. So nice continuation pattern there. And this is the point where we're looking for a new structure. Price action ideally comes back, curves back a little bit, finds some support at 85, and then takes off from there. Be really interested to enter on some bullish variations right off this level. And this would be a pretty good risk reward. Probably bring it up depending on where this higher low forms, well over 2 to 1 on that. And just riding the trend. Waiting for structure, riding the trend, playing it zone to zone. Pretty straightforward. And the opposite's true if we are to consider this bearish. Like if AJ breaks 85 support, we see a lower high below. So that means a break, retest, rejects, and then starts pushing lower with some bearish setups. You could enter somewhere in here and then target down towards the weekly again. So this is what that trade would look like. Let's take a look. Something like this. Okay, and again, same thing, well over 2 to 1. This one's probably even got a little bit more, profit in it. Over 3 to 1, ideally. So yeah, there's room to run on this. We'll see how price action reacts at 85, and then we'll plan accordingly, make decisions based on what we see. But definitely a good trade here. I mean, there's some room on AJ. Let's jump over to UJ. This thing is, oh man, look at this. It's just still going. All right, we'll get to that in a second. So let's go to the daily first.
Oh damn, yeah. This thing's up jumping.
Yeah, it's a mess. So let's just, I'm gonna go to the monthly on this one. So I actually reset this whole analysis because it was so ugly and it's super overextended. So this is, the monthly. We had this huge consolidation pattern, and then we were bullish from that point. So I just wanted to highlight this. This whole volume, or this whole rally has been happening since, back here, March 21. After this broke, it just took off from there. And we broke 112. That was the real key point. So it's the monthly. Here's the weekly. Look at this thing. Just the price action has been so clear. There's a nice little pattern in here. Pushed up, gave us a higher low above 112. And now we've been in another channel. This is like a daily, weekly channel here since November 21 till now. Let's get a closer look at that. Here's the daily. Still very much bullish. And the key zone for this daily time frame would be 115. Okay, we saw a lot of resistance originally here as well. This is a fake out because we failed to get structure above it. So that's a fake out, right? Came back down, tested again, tested again, tested again and again until it finally broke. So the one thing that's interesting here is we actually don't have structure above 115. We just have a crazy breakout with a whole bunch of volume. Okay, but we are overall bullish. We're at the top of the channel. Let's go to the 4-hour. And I do have a trade marked up, but it's far from happening. So just be aware of that. UJ is low on the list for this week. Okay, so we have a fib from when conviction kicked in off the 115 level and just measured this whole trade. So actually before the market opened, we were down here. Now we're still pushing. So volume's still present. Obviously we can't take a trade. If we want to continue with the trend, I would like to see it pull back, hit some sort of fib level, 61.8, 38.2. Just need to see structure. Ideally 61.8. It's closer to a minor support level, some confluence in there. So that would be ideal, but we're far from that happening. I mean, just in pips alone, we're 150 pips away from that. So it's kind of sad. We could potentially get a short position this week, but we need to see a few factors, a few things come into play here. So we need consolidation at first, good reversal signals, maybe even a head and shoulders, something like that, and then it drops lower. That would be ideal because we need to see more levels. There's just a lack of information at this point. Price action is just surging to the upside. So there's not much you can do. Simply need to see more, need to see price action develop and just kind of resume normal conditions. But yeah, that's UJ, guys. Bullish as hell. And one thing to note too is that UJ has been reacting very dramatically to whatever DXY is doing. Right? This thing has just been showing a little bit of bullishness. Well, I mean, a lot of bit of bullishness, but even more bullishness on DXY. Why is this doing this? There we go. I'm just trying to get a measurement here. All right. So yeah, I'm going to do it by percents because you can't really get a comparable on DXY here. So 1%. And then since this, I mean, this thing has just been, so almost twice as much movement than what DXY is showing. So, maybe a little interesting information, but I mean, DXY has just been reacting like crazy to the upside. So that's UJ. Let's jump over to EJ, see what that one's doing. We'll circle back to this one later in the week, maybe. All right, daily time frame. EJ, what's the trend, guys? What is the trend? So overall, pretty bearish. And we've been bearish since we broke 129 structure-wise, because this was, higher low here. We broke below that, got some minor retests here, but now price action is retesting that same zone after we dumped pretty far down to the 125 level. That's where this closure is. And it came right back. So we're technically bearish, but the 4-hour is kind of saying something otherwise. Let's take a closer look here. So here's that dip down to 125, came right back up. And what do we see here? A nice inverse head and shoulders, apparently, right? So left shoulder, here's the head, here's the right shoulder. 129, coincidentally, is the neckline. So that's where we need to see the transition of, meaning a break above, higher low, and then we can consider it bullish. Could get a nice long opportunity potentially towards 131.5 resistance. Let me just highlight what this would look like for you guys. So this would be the long scenario. Again, only if we break 129. There's nothing to buy right now. You can't go long on this right now. You need to see the break and the higher low above. And what do you know? 3-to-1 risk to reward. Pretty good trade. 225 pips. I mean, EJ likes to move. That's no surprise. 70 pip stop. That's a good trade right there. Now, what has to happen for us to, get back into the bearish scenario? You could catch a retest of this, but to be safe, one of this, let me show you. Could get something like this, catch a lower high here, and turn a lower high here. But to be safe, you want to catch a lower high below the monthly, and then you're free to short all the way down to 124. But as long as we get that lower high below, because we failed to get that over here, failed reactions, right? Last week, my analysis, one of the trades was finding a lower high right here at the monthly and watching price action fall. Obviously, that didn't happen, pushed up. So we're looking for that same scenario, essentially, if this plays out. Okay, so just be aware of price action while it's between these zones. Be patient. You really need to see the conviction and the right structure to enter on either of these. Okay, EJ likes to fake you out. There's a lot of movement here. You know, don't get FOMO. Don't enter on a crap trade. Wait for structure. Promise you, it'll pay off. All right, so that's actually, let's highlight that one too. Why not? So if we did catch that lower high below 126, we're looking at about 200. You know, you could even risk 100. Just call it a 2-to-1. So either way, you got a decent trade. Okay, but yeah, we'll see how price action plays out. Looks like it's kind of creeping towards this resistance, and it's already tested it twice. So we'll see if it breaks. Based on what price action is telling us now, it's definitely leaning more towards that, even though the daily is overall bearish. All right, so let's go to gold. The final one, decent setups. A little bit of mystery around this one, but we'll get to it in a second on the 4-hour. What's the trend here? I mean, can anybody tell me? Is it obvious on the daily? You know, super bullish. This thing has been rallying since we broke 1825 all the way down here. Whoa, didn't mean to grab that. There we go. So yeah, we've been bullish since then. And we literally went from 1800, a little bit of consolidation there, all the way to 2070, if you guys can see that. I even said that in the analysis too. The review, that this is actually like $4, less than $4 short of the previous all-time high. I think it's like 2074. So that's something to note. That's pretty crazy. You know, gold is crazy bullish right now. So it could be due for a pullback. We got to see 4-hour structure, see what's going on. We know we're bullish though overall. So let's take a look at that 4-hour. Okay, so we had this nice trend here. Price action was respecting this trend line. We're getting nice tests of it, nice higher lows, all the way up to 2000, where we saw that massive rejection. And then it looked like price action was forming a bit of a head and shoulders, but nothing was definite yet. We needed to see either a break of 1975, which would technically be the neckline. And then I'd like to see a lower high below that. I'd feel very confident shorting down towards 1930, then reanalyzing at that point. But if it pushed up and we broke above 2000, I want to see a higher low above that, which we failed to get here, to confirm, you know, us going higher. And then we could enter long on that, target negative fib levels, get some good trades here on gold. Let's go ahead and highlight this one. This one actually looks like a beastly trade. Just over 750 pips, not a bad day. Jeez, gold. Yeah, we're looking at a 4-to-1 roughly, maybe even tighter than that, 5-to-1. Risking about 150. Again, it all depends on where the higher low forms. So I'm going to be more safe with this and just say 3-to-1. So 250 for 750. Not a bad trade whatsoever. And let's throw the short position up, because why not? See what this would look like. So our first target would be 1930. Ideally, we want to get 2-to-1 by that point. It looks like we could just get that here. And then, of course, you're looking for the same thing at 1930. So a break below, then another lower high. Then you target the next level, and so on and so on. Well, let me just zoom in here so it's a little more clear. All right, see? Very bullish. Still technically testing this minor level here, 1975, where we first established back here. So we haven't broken that yet. Okay, keep that in mind. So as long as price actions between these two zones, we have no direction. Higher low above, then we're long. Lower high below, then we're short. Simple enough, right? All right, so that's gold. And that pretty much concludes my analysis. I'll give you guys a quick recap. We got DXY, the dollar, it's bullish. USD, we're waiting for reactions at 0.73. UJ, pretty much bullish, see the higher low. UJ is on the moon, somewhere in space. Can't do anything with that. EJ, waiting for structure, seeing if it's gonna break this inverse head and shoulders, or if it's gonna resume the overall downtrend. And then gold, same thing. Let's just call this a range, waiting for it to break the range, structure above or below. All right, guys. So yeah, good luck this week. I'm gonna pass it off to Angelo. You know, hopefully we get some good trades out of these. You know, at least a few of them should play out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so all the analysis is posted in Telegram, guys. So if you want to look at all of Nick's ideas for the week, just head over to Telegram, and it's all posted in there. It's also posted in Discord as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to run through some of my trade ideas for the week. So we got BTC. We're going to look at it pretty much last. We're gonna get started with Forex pairs first. Usman, no giveaway for the webinar. So there's no giveaway on this webinar, but look out because we actually have a giveaway going on right now with the funded trader. I believe it ends tomorrow. So just check the Telegram. There's some details posted on that one. So let's get started with NZD USD. So on the weekly time frame, last week we marked down this huge resistance level here. And why did we put this? Basically, just zooming out a little bit, we can see we had a ton of support here, support. So price definitely struggled once it came down into this level. It's pretty easy to see. And then looking left, I didn't drag it all the way, but if we were to bring this all the way over, we can see that price has reacted to this area recently with a lot of rejection as well. We have support here, resistance, all in this area, boom, boom. So price is back in this zone, and look how last week we closed. So we're mainly looking for, on the weekly, pretty much like 2 or 3 things. One, where are our levels? I'm marking down, this is pretty much my major level of resistance right here. And then what did last week do? So last week we had this candle. We can go ahead and delete all this. I'll just mark it back up when we get down. But last week we had this bearish candle close. We had this long wick to the upside. So we clearly rejected this 69 area pretty well. And then we closed pretty bearish. No, not really much of a wick or anything like that. And then also take note, we're in a downtrend overall, right? So overall, we've just been in a downtrend for a good amount of time here. We've just been making these lower lows. We had a bit of a higher high here, but then we dumped to break the lower low. And then now this would be the exact area to look for another move to the downside, right? So let's get this cleared up. Let's go down to the lower time frame and see how the lower time frame is looking. And remember, we want to focus on really where we're at. As we can see, this 4-hour has been pushing up, right? This looks as though it's in an uptrend. Coming up to the weekly, though, we can identify that this is pretty much the last level of resistance, and this level just held, right? In regards to weekly structure, this was a previous lower high, boom, lower low. This is now retesting this area and has already rejected it. So I'm playing as though this area has been rejected, and now we're starting to look for short opportunities because my higher time frame bias is that we have rejected resistance and now we want to go short, right? So that being said, we have momentum here, which obviously just broke to the downside. So we had price come down, form this lower high, come down, come up, we rejected the resistance again, all these wicks, and then we just broke this very minor level of support. But remember, every time we are looking for structure, so this is some bullish structure. Now we're breaking support right here. And as this higher low breaks, we're then looking for that first lower high in order to take a trade. So let's just take this off. We always want to just simplify things as much as possible. So this is exactly how we teach market structure inside of the course. We're always looking for these variations where we have a higher low, we have a new higher high, and then we have a break of structure. And then we're always looking to take a trade on the first lower high that forms right here, right? So right now, bringing the candlesticks back on, we're not going to go short at the moment. We're going to wait for there to be some sort of retracement, some sort of lower high. And then at that point is when we're going to actually take our short opportunity. And then we're going to just target this next level of support, which is down here. And let's go over why that level is down there. So pretty much just look left. We could even drag this even further. So we can clearly see right here, we have resistance along this area, and then we have support along this area. So this is definitely a price range where price has either acted as a huge level of resistance or a huge level of support. So whenever price comes back into that area, we're probably going to see some sort of rejection. So we're just trying to ride this now down into this lower level. This could retrace all the way up to here, could retrace all the way up to here. As long as it doesn't break this previous high, right here, then we are going to still look for short opportunities. So if price comes up to here, we start to see some rejection. This is pretty much the trade that we're going to be looking for. More aggressively, it's going to be this, which would be 5-1. More conservatively, it's going to be this, which would be 3-1. Boom. So it's going to be something like that. And then alternatively, if price ends up retracing all the way up back near this high, this is going to be the trade that we would take. We'd have stops pretty much in this area. So we'd have about a 3.5-1 risk reward trade. So again, trade idea number 2 rejects this area, comes down. Trade idea number 1 comes all the way up here. And we're looking at NZD USD. So let's come up to DXY and take a look and see how this is looking. So obviously DXY is moving pretty aggressively to the upside, and we have this 100 level. We have this resistance level that I've marked up here. Why do I have this? We've got resistance all in this area. We've got support all along this area. Let's just zoom in. Resistance, resistance. We had some consolidation around here. So once price comes back up into this area at 99,700, right around 100, probably going to see some reversal, but we're still about 0.75% away from this zone right here. So I'm still expecting the dollar to go pretty bullish, and obviously this has been pretty bullish overall, right? So let's come back over here. Let's come to the 4-hour. Let's see how far away. So this move would be about a 1% move to the downside right here, and it's not correlating as well with the dollar, right? Because we're basically assuming that if NZD USD continues to move down, that would mean the dollar would continue to go very bullish to the upside. And the dollar is bullish overall, but doesn't correlate as well right now because the dollar is at this high. So we just want to be aware of that. I want to see how the dollar actually shapes out. Say we have a retracement here all the way back down to support, about 1% down. Then NZD USD, we could see moving up all the way up to this level, pretty much in this zone up here. And then that would trigger our idea number 2. So let's come back now to someone saying we have interest rate news this week. Should expect volatility. Yeah. So we can see at the bottom, I've got the news. We got retail sales. Let's see, towards the end of the week, we've got GDP. I don't know if what is that, March 17th. So we're going to hit that one. And then we've got existing home sales. So we've got some news events this week that should drive volatility. And as I said, the interest rates as well. So we'll see if we can get that movement. Right now, if this just pushes down, there's not really a trade that we can take personally. I want to see a retracement. I want to see this come back up to retest this support level. That would just be the perfect area to actually take a short opportunity on that. So let's go to GU next. Let's see how it correlates with this other pair. Let's start off on the weekly time frame first. Let's just zoom out. So overall on GU, you can see we've got our weekly levels here. So I'm just going to zoom out. We've got resistance here. We've got support, support, support. We've got resistance. Let's zoom in. Resistance, support. So I'm just looking for an area where price has touched on both sides, has acted as support or resistance. Very simple. In a lot of these areas, these are like demand zones, supply zones as well. And then as you can see to the upside, it's the same thing. Let's just focus in. We have support here. We have resistance here. We have resistance, resistance right there. So these are our 2 major levels that we're watching on the weekly on GU. And then obviously price has just been free falling. We've been covering this because as we look at the weekly time frame, this is very similar to look at NZD USD weekly bearish structure, and we're at a potential lower high area. Perfect for this to continue to the downside. Look at GU weekly structure, very bearish. And if you guys can't see this, this is what I'm talking about. We have all of these lower highs that are forming. This is bearish structure. Let's take this off. So this is very bearish. Obviously, we're moving to the downside. You can see like a nice trend right here. So these are the lower low points that I'm talking about. These are lower highs. Let's take this off. Let's take this off, bring the candlesticks back on. So remember, we're looking to enter on lower high points, and look where price is right now. It's all the way down here, right? So for me personally, I wouldn't want to actually get in on another trade until we have a pullback, a respectable pullback, at least to retest this previous higher low. I have this marked down. We have this, or this previous lower low, I mean, sorry. So unless we retest this area, I'm not interested in actually taking a trade on GU. And let's come down to the 4-hour and see how this kind of lines up with 4-hour structure. So 4-hour structure as well, very bearish. Boom. Bearish as hell, right? Forming lower lows, lower highs, same thing as the weekly. So we have the weekly, the 4-hour all lined up right now. And going into the week, this is what I was looking for, a pullback pretty much into this zone. So I have fibs on here. We have 38.2. We have that previous support level right there, now turned into resistance. This would be a decent area to actually look for a trade opportunity. We'd put stops. Well, it depends what our targets are, right? If we want to target literally all the way down here, which would be targeting that weekly level, this is 460 pips away, right? So if we want to just target this negative 618 or even this negative 27 area first, and then we potentially ride it out, we can see here, this would be a trade idea. We've got our stops above the 38.2. So this would be trade idea number one. And then trade idea number two would be if price makes it back up to this area. We've got this marked. Let's go back up to the weekly. We've got this marked based on, I think this is actually all the way up to the monthly. So I have on the monthly time frame, we could even see monthly, huge support level here. That's now going to be turned into resistance. This also lines up. If we look left, this is a huge zone right here. So that's how I have that marked down. So let's come up. Let's just leave this on. So if price manages to come all the way back up to that monthly support level, then we're going to look to take shorts in this area. And this is pretty much what we would do. We would be targeting first the negative 27 as well. We'd probably just throw stops above the 100% level, because if it breaks this, then we don't want to be in this trade anyway. And then as price actually goes into profit, we could always change our final take profit, and it could end up being like a 4-to-1 risk reward trade. And this one could end up being literally a 7-to-1 risk reward trade coming down to this lower support level right here. So those are the ideas on GU. Again, we would need GU to gain some volume back to the upside. For this one, we would need it to move about 1% up. For this one, we would need it to move about 2% up. And looking at that in terms of DXY, we would need at least this pullback for move number one. And then we would need about this, a pullback in this kind of zone for move number two. And overall, as you can see, DXY has been pretty bullish. So we'll see if we can get that deep of a pullback on this one where the dollar is losing that much strength. It's going to be interesting to see if the dollar can actually push up past this 100% level, or this not 100%, but just 100 flat level. Obviously, it's been very bullish. So we'll see if the dollar continues on this little recovery trail that it's been going on. So the verb joined late. So Nick went over a bunch of pairs, including golds. Would you go over EJ, UJ?
Yeah, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, gold, DXY. So they're all live charts, which means they're posted in Telegram. You can go to our trading view, either of ours, and play any of these analyses forward. There's also descriptions summarizing what we're saying here, essentially. And they're active through the week. So at any point, you could play it forward, see how the trade paths are progressing, and use it to your advantage that way.
Live chart kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
Big live chart
guy.
So yeah, if you guys want to, see what's up with the analysis that you missed, just get in the chat after. I just did NU, GU. I'm on UCAD now. So UCAT has been fucking around in this zone for literally the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Been literally just chilling in this zone right here. Last week, push the upside. This was very surprising that did this. Pushed to the upside and grabbed at this 129 level. So let's just zoom out like we always doing. Weekly time frame, we've got support here. Boom, support there. Resistance, 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 resistance. So that's our upper level, and then our lower level, we've got support all in this area, resistance, and as you can see, some resistance and support here as well. So we're just consolidating right now. We're consolidating within these two zones. As we come down to the 4-hour, this structure is not that clean, right? We've got this little bit of an uptrend. Now we have these subsequent breaks of support. So I'm actually looking for this thing to be opposite of my ideas for GU and NZD USD. I'm actually looking to take a short opportunity on this one. This is kind of where I'm looking to put stops, and then I'm targeting this level all the way down here. So this would be about a 4.5 4.5 to 1 risk reward trade. So look out on USD CAD. The reason why I'm saying to take a short here is because we just broke support there. Price normally retest previous support before moving to the downside. And this isn't just minor. We can look left and see price has rejected this area so many times. So I think there's going to be a big move off of this area. So look out for USD CAD. This is definitely a trade that could execute earlier in the week, could execute literally overnight tonight if we get enough volume. It's only about 0.2 away from actually executing, 0.2% away. So NZD CAD, I'm going to move this one up the watch list for today. Let's go over to GJ. So GJ on the weekly, let's zoom out on this one. Some weekly levels here. We've got resistance, support. We've got support, resistance, and then we've got resistance, resistance, resistance. So ton going on in this area. Then to the downside, same thing. This is a level down here. Haven't even moved this from the last couple of weeks. So if you guys have been on the sessions, you've been seeing this. Can clearly see all support here. And then look where price currently is. Nice break of support. After we rejected this high, we got in on a bunch of trades at every time it hit this level, just because we had the level marked. Now we're looking for the retest of the support turned into resistance, and we're looking for price to do this, right? We're in a downtrend. We broke support right here, and we're on our way to our lower level right now. So coming down to the 4-hour time frame, this is a bit of a mind fuck here, right? Because we had very nice downtrend structure like this, boom. And now we're actually breaking resistance. So we're actually breaking structure right now to the upside, which is interesting. So once price comes up here, the only way I would actually take a trade is if we're seeing something like this. This is when I would actually start to take a position. Is if we come up here, we start to hit the resistance, we start to consolidate, and then we get a break and retest. So ideally, this would kind of be the more risky entry up here. And then this would be the more conservative entry, waiting for the break and retest of support right there. So those are two trade ideas on GBP, JPY. I'm not taking longs. I'm not too comfortable taking longs right now because overall the structure is very bearish. And I'm actually going to go ahead and just redraw this. Overall, the structure is pretty bearish on this one. So I don't want to go against the higher time frame trend that I've identified right here. So I'm going to be more patient on this one. I want to wait until I see that break of support, and then I'll actually try to get in on this one to the downside. So that's GJ. I'm going to move this one up because this is probably actually going to execute this week as well. Let's go to NAS 100. So did the analysis for NAS 100 last week. I'm just starting to analyze this. It's obviously popular indices to be traded now. So I just started analyzing this, and last week wasn't bad. Let's go over what actually went down with this one. So weekly time frame on NAS 100, we were overall in an uptrend. So we were just going to the upside, right, for quite some time. And then January of this year, we finally started to break. And this whole, this whole sector started to just fall off pretty much. So now we can see we're kind of in this free fall. We're moving to the downside. We're definitely targeting this next support level, which is 12728 all the way down here. That's our next level. And then let's move to the 4 hour. So 4 hour time frame, you can see we're clearly just in a downtrend. Same thing, indices, same principles, but I actually went down to, I believe, the 1 hour time frame once we got into this area. So let's move up and just go through some time frames here. So normally what I do is I use the weekly to the 4 hour, and then I go to the 30-minute if I need to. This pair, I'm going to stay on the daily time frame because daily shows some pretty good structure here. As we could see, we're very clearly in a downtrend. It's showing clean levels. We can see this, boom, break, retest, boom, break, retest of support. And then same thing right here, break of support, retest. And now we're going to push to the downside. So this trade was executed last week. Let's come to the 1 hour. This trade was executed last week. Last week we opened, as you can see, a little gap here. We opened right here. We had the order placed here, and then we were just targeting our lower level of support, which is at this 12700 area. Bounced around quite a bit last week. We came down, boom, then we came back up, then we came back up again, and like now we're kind of in this area again. So if you're not in on this trade and you want to get in on NAS 100, it's pretty simple. We just had a break of support right around this area. And all you're gonna want to do is really take an order once it retests. It's not as high probability as the first entry, but this would be how you scale in, and then you'd put stops pretty much in this area, so you at least have a 2-to-1. Ideally you put it up here, but then that wouldn't be that great of a trade. So you want to put stops right around this area. So this is pretty much the trade on NAS. This would be a continuation of the overall order, and then you'd be getting this scaling in on this one again. So we're going to keep covering NAS 100. For GJ, the level that I placed was the 153,900. So basically 154 is an entry zone. So look out for that area. Last but not least, let's go to BTC USD. So I marked these areas a couple weeks ago on BTC. Obviously, if you just zoom out, like this thing just looks crazy right now. Like it just looks like it has so much room to come down, right? I mean, we could come down to this area, we come down to this area. This is why when there's a bear market on crypto, man, it's scary because this thing can lose so much value.
Pretty quickly too. Like
yeah,
a couple days, they could knock that out.
Yeah, like it could just knock out all of this in a couple days. But we're sticking to pretty much these levels here. We've got 40 marked as a level, we've got 30 marked as level, 31, then we've got 20 marked as a level, which is previous high, and then all the way down here we've got 12 marked as a level as well. So last week, let's just zoom in. As we can see, 2 weeks ago, large wick, last week, large wick, right? So this is very telling that price, although we did have this nice bullish movement here, price is telling us that it is struggling to find support here. And it's very likely that this thing is about to head to 32, right? Unless we just get this sudden surge of bullishness based on some random fundamentals, right? Price is telling us technically that we are in a downtrend, right? And we are struggling to break the resistance, all these wicks. Boom, we came up, came down, came up, came down. And the only place for this thing to go is down, right? I mean, all in looking at it with just TA.
Everybody go buy BTC. We don't want this to happen.
Yeah, so this is the
Oh,
time when everyone is unsure of what to do with BTC. This is definitely the time to consider buying. Definitely the time to consider adding to the position. I mean, look at it long term, right? If we're just looking at this long term, I mean, overall, BTC is more than likely going to, move. It's going to appreciate to the upside. That's the trend of this for years and years and years. If we just took out this trusty old tool,
yeah, tell Elon to tweet about it.
Yeah, that's
That'll get it moving. Definitely.
we need more than a tweet at this point. This thing needs a whole fucking thing needs to be revived.
Oh man.
I mean, look at it like this. That would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But we're far from that if you think about it in the terms of consolidation, like how much time that was. It's wild.
What this?
Where does that put us on the break there?
4 years.
But that puts us at
4 more years before it goes up.
hang on, guys. We're almost there.
Yeah, it's on. Dude, it's I mean, this is all I literally did was I just grabbed from here and went like this.
Yeah, just copy paste.
So
I mean, yeah, we'll see.
If it continues to this is the overall trend, right, of BTC. If this thing continues, I mean, we could even just grab from another dip. You've got, similar thing, and then we can grab from a totally different. We grab from wherever the hell we want, guys. Like this thing is bound to continue to appreciate based on how it's moved previously in the past. I'm just going to leave this on here just for fun. Right? And let's just see, because we'll be here. So
okay.
Be fearful when others are greedy.
Well, what's the target here? 100? This puts us right at 100, right?
100.
Yeah. So yeah, will it take 4 years to play out? We don't know, but there is one thing that is sure here. It's that these levels they need to be respected either as support or resistance, before we can, comfortably say this thing is going to an all-time high.
Yeah. I mean, even on the monthly, I mean, look how much conviction was here.
Yeah, it's a lot. Nothing really took off. I mean, from the wick of that candle alone, in that 1 month, that's from what, 28 basically to over 40. 40% in a month. Yeah, that's nuts. Not a bad month, guys.
Well, I feel like right now we're just gonna pulse. Like we're just gonna be like going like this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's gonna be like,
right? Like it's definitely gonna be dormant for like a while if we do start bouncing between these levels, and then we'll see it kick in like back over here.
But then a part of me is like, okay, so many people are now so positive on BTC that's just gonna go to zero.
Just an ultimate rug pull. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just like, yeah, this thing is ultimately it's just gonna die. But
I guess that depends who really has like most of it also.
And it's so crazy, but I'm obviously buying. I'm in on it now. I got skin on the game. So
yeah.
I got skin in the game. I'm watching it, and I'm personally in because I believe that it's gonna pulse in this area. Boom, 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 boom. And then eventually it's gonna go up. And if it takes 4 years to go up, so be it. Fuck it. But
and even in worst case scenario, we did cover the percentages, how it's favoring to buy versus like closing a position or like trying to short this. Like even if it drops down to like worst case scenario, right? Let's say 20, and we add more to that, when we come back up to where we were, we'll technically be in more profit than we were originally.
Right. There's unlimited upside right now, and the downside is you know what the downside is, right? So it's not in favor of shorting. Like right now,
Right.
say you were to line up a short, even if your
Right.
target is literally $3,000, if this thing goes to 100, you're in a negative risk reward,
Right. Yeah, that's bad.
right? So
Whereas
it's not
if you,
favorable to short.
yeah, unless the thing goes to zero, I mean, and you're not leveraging, you're not margin trading or anything, and you're just buying BTC, or selling, or no, just buying BTC. You'll never actually lose all of it unless the coin disappears. So you could always add to it, and then it's, as Angela said, it's more favorable upside potential on all crypto for the most part. Because it's very much a percentage game. So like, let's say let's say I bought 10,000, or let's say I bought one BTC at 40K, and then it drops to 20. Now I lose half, right? So I only have 20K left. If I buy one more BTC, puts me back at 40. Now I have two BTC. By the time I get back to 40K, I've doubled my money.
Right.
And that's not even including an all-time high target, where we're really going, which is up towards 80 or 100. So that's
the name of the game here.
Yeah, there's so much more favor in buying. And if you're patient, you'll be rewarded. I've been holding some coins for 2.5 years now, 3 years now, and they've paid off some. Some are more than others, but that's the name of the game. So interesting. It's gonna be interesting, guys. Crypto still technically new, but it's starting to get some momentum.
Crypto.
Yeah, crypto for life, right?
Crypto for life. Yeah, I'm gonna die on crypto.
Yeah, long-term players. What Gustavo say here? It's just better to be a part of and have some skin in the game and lose than regretting never being involved. Exactly. It's an experience. It's something that you could potentially add to your portfolio. Definitely investment for the future of some degree. But yeah, guys, some skin in the game is better than none. Absolutely. But yeah, guys, it's another Sunday Market Blitz, another weekend, another new week. We're ready.
We're putting the skin in the game.
Yeah. All right. We did the work. We're ready, guys.
We're all in.
Let's have a good week,
Yeah. So if we're getting fucked, you guys we'll let you guys know.
We'll be here next Sunday complaining about it.
This guy's got the quotes. Biggest risk.
I love it.
Fuck, dude.
Not taking one. Yes. You just have these off the top of your head, man.
Just DM me a quote every day in the morning.
This guy. Wait, put some of that energy into Discord. I like this.
Guys,
my guy.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thanks P for the quotes, and to the rest of you guys, best of luck this week, and we'll catch you guys next week on the Blitz.
Yeah. See you guys around.
Peace out.